Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Door to Deceit. I'm your host Ash, and I'm happy you're here. Thank y'all for supporting the podcast as usual, and I hope y'all enjoy. I'm back from my amazing freaking vacation, but I'm definitely still feeling a little lazy and a tiny bit under the weather with all this congestion, and the air is just crap and it's just ugh. So this episode is going to be another short one, but we will get back to the longer episodes, I promise. Now, this case is also very recent, like super recent, like it just happened a week ago recent. So let's get into it. Our story begins in Russell County in Kentucky with Angela Gosser. She's a wife and a sister that seemingly went off the deep end. Kentucky officials have been left scrambling, trying to deal with the fallout of her multi-county shooting spree that left 3 people dead and 1 person with critical injuries. The story is still developing and the motive for the crimes is still unknown at this time, but there are definitely a few theories floating around that I'll end up getting into a little bit later. So what do we know? Well, we know that on Friday, May 3rd, around 6:30 p.m., the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office discovered what they called a male victim lying beside the road approximately 200 feet from his residence, deceased from what appeared to be a gunshot wound. Now, the victim was Larry Gosser. He was the 73-year-old husband of Angela Gosser. Larry used to be a sergeant with the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife. He loved many types of farming, and he was also on the governor's marijuana task force. Now, on that, me and Larry would not have gotten along, but other than that, he seemed like a really cool, sweet older gentleman. According to his obituary, he was an avid fisherman and hunter. He loved the outdoors, loved his animals, and above all, he loved spending time with his family and friends. According to police, Larry was working on a tree on their property when his wife opened fire on him, killing him. About an hour after Larry's body was discovered, officers received a report of a shooting at a home in Russell County. Upon arrival, police found a deceased woman and a man with life-threatening injuries. The deceased woman was ID'd as 50-year-old Angela Gosser, who we started the story with, and the injured man was her brother, 57-year-old Daryl Wilson. Officers were actually still on the scene of that shooting when a welfare check came in for another home. Upon arrival, officials found a woman with gunshot wounds to her head in the driver's seat of a Toyota Camry near the home. The woman was identified as 57-year-old Jennifer Wilson, the sister of both Angela and Daryl. So what in the hell happened? Honestly, this already sounds really insane, and it only gets worse in my opinion as we get into the details. So, police ended up determining that after shooting her husband, Angela, she was already armed and dangerous. She saw Jennifer while she was driving to their brother's house, and instead of driving by, she decided to do a drive-by. Basically, she ended up firing multiple rounds through the passenger side of her sister's car. She ended up fatally striking her, and that was the end of that. After peeling off, Angela arrived at Daryl's home. With her gun in hand, she ended up forcing her way into the house, and it's hazy at this point of what happened and what took place. There's no indication of if an argument happened or a struggle over guns or a struggle in general, but whatever happened, it ended up in Daryl and Angela having a shootout with one another. Angela's wounds were fatal, while Daryl is currently being treated for life-threatening injuries at the University of Kentucky Hospital. Now, he obviously isn't being charged for his sister's death at this point in the investigation, as it appears to be self-defense on his part. And I don't know, him not getting charged is cool, but in reality, he's gonna have to deal with the fact that he not only lost his sister at the hands of his other sister, but he also then had to take the life of a sister. And that's only if he survives his injuries. Like, it's a lot stacked against him right now. And honestly, I would really appreciate it if you guys would send some prayers up for him, because this is going to be a hard, long road for him and the rest of his family, no matter what and no matter which way the wind blows. It's going to be hard. It's only been a week since the crimes were committed, so police have not released any other details nor any other theories about Angela's motive for her shooting spree. Now, the internet, of course, had a few ideas. The first assumption that I personally found that I agreed with was that the sister and the husband were having an affair and that the brother knew about it. Now, the only reason I really agreed to this first thing is because, I'm sorry, when I read that headline, it gives movie. And this is exactly how it would happen in a movie, because life imitates art and art imitates life, and it's a whole thing. In my opinion, I think it is definitely a valid theory, but another one is that Angela had a long history of mental illness and mental health issues, and she suffered some kind of psychotic break. During that break, she ended up attacking her own family. Now, this theory is probably the correct one, and if that is the case, then I cannot help but feel sorry for her family, her husband's family. I mean, I feel sorry for them anyway, but if it really was a psychotic break and she could not help herself and she could not stop herself, I feel for them whole freaking heartedly. But yeah, that's the case of Angela Gosser. This case is it's super sad when you really think about it. She either had a mental breakdown or had some kind of anger or grievance or whatever to get off her chest, and it ended up in not only herself but 2 other people that she was close to being dead, and her brother being severely injured and possibly dead as well. Like, it's just super sad, and my heart and my prayers go out to both the Wilson and Gosser families. Now, obviously there was not a need for a trial with this case, but y'all know I like to leave y'all with a few words of wisdom, so here we go. Remember to hold your family close, be attentive to your own mental state and that of those around you, and always be careful out there and stay freaking vigilant. I'm out of here, y'all. Thank y'all so much for listening, and I hope you're leaving having learned some lessons, and if not, go back and listen again. I'll see y'all next time, and hey, do not forget to lock that door behind me. You never know what could come crawling in.